Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest and greatest episode of Game Rivals. I'm one of your hosts, Maximilian X, and as always with me is the lovable, the huggable, the one in the fastest car, the one that always loved to say, boy, and the one that always wants to go back through the rifts. It's Sean Templar. How's it going, Sean?
I'm good. I don't know if I can live up to all those things you said, but I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. We finally were out of the lockdown that we had.
Yes.
Finally got to see Spider-Man No Way Home.
Woo!
Very happy.
Uh,
A lot of stuff has happened. A lot of good stuff. A lot of less good stuff. A lot of interesting stuff has happened. But we'll talk about that in the news segment. And I think that we've both been playing a decent amount of games. I don't know about you, but I've been playing a certain game.
I've also been playing a certain game.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So you know what? Let's just jump right into things. Let's start off with one of, I think, probably both one of our most favorite games on PlayStation 4. Um, one that I actually referenced in your intro.
Yeah, God of War came to PC 2 weeks ago, and it's the most successful PlayStation PC launch so far. A lot of people love it. It's a great PC port. They really went all the way to make sure that it's a great port. It also supports a lot of cool stuff like NVIDIA DLSS, NVIDIA Reflex, AMD VSR. It has a lot of that stuff in there, and then you can like tweak a lot of the settings. If you choose the original preset in a graphic setting, that's like the PS4 version or the PS4 Pro version, and then you can go on top of that. um, I've seen comparisons like with the Digital Foundry comparison. It looks really nice compared to the PS4
Hmm.
version, even though the PS4 version already looks really nice. But this is like it adds like a lot more detail in areas that you normally might not see or expect. So um,
Well, DLSS will do that for you.
yeah, yeah, it's really nice. Um, yeah, I mean, like it's a PC launch. It sold more than Horizon. It sold more than Days Gone, though I don't think Days Gone was a really popular one, which is a shame because it's a really great game. So
Again, yes.
yeah,
I
so
think that is it's just the notoriety, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame because the game really, like, I'm one of the biggest ambassadors for that game. That game is really, really good. I recommend it to everyone. Yeah, it's maybe like get a little bit tricky to get into, but once you're in it, I mean, I loved every second of it. Um,
Hmm.
Sony's also going to do the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves port to the
I
PC.
think that's
The
isn't that
PS5 version came out, so like the PC version is coming out
yeah, that
later.
thing that one is wait, isn't that supposed to drop this week?
No, so the PS5 version dropped last week on Friday,
Last week, yeah.
and the PC version is coming out somewhere in 2022.
Uh that's a weird decision.
I think it's easier to do the PS5 version than the PC port. Yeah.
Maybe.
Plus, there are rumors floating around that Sony's going to do a lot more PC ports. People are suggesting Ghost of Tsushima might be one. Um,
Oh, I think that's pretty much a given at this point,
yeah,
especially with how well God of War did.
yeah,
Like especially like in general, even if um uh, uh uh, Days Gone is the worst sold of the bunch,
hmm,
it still sold pretty well.
yeah.
So I think, and especially since it's on Steam, I'm pretty sure like a lot of sales that are gonna be coming up are gonna do it a lot of good.
Yep.
So I don't think it's gonna do terrible numbers. I personally don't think it did bad. It
Uh,
did surprisingly well for a game that a lot of people kind of dismissed at the beginning.
mhm.
So yeah, Ghost of Tsushima kind of seems like a slam dunk decision to do. I don't know what else they might do. I don't know if they'll actually touch, like, for example, Ratchet and Clank. I don't know if they would do that.
Yeah, so there are multiple games that are being rumored. So Last of Us is being rumored, Spider-Man is being rumored. So basically, like the major PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah.
I think people would love a Last of Us on the PC because it's pretty controversial game. The second part,
Yeah.
and
That
I
was so.
mean,
That's why I made that looks like.
yeah.
Will they
The
though?
the funny thing is that it took a while for Sony to be convinced to do it, because apparently it came up in an interview with Cory Barlog that they asked him, like, is God of War Ragnarok going to be a PC release day and date, and he said no. Well, the first thing we're working on is the PS5 and 4 version. I don't have the time and the resources to think of something else right now. Um, but he said that he really would like to do it. It's just a matter of resources, because in the beginning, a lot of Sony's internal studios had to kind of like convince Sony to do it, to bring games to the PC, because Sony at first wasn't.
Really?
Yeah, so at first they weren't really like a big fan of it, but because multiple internal studios kept on asking, kept on suggesting it as ideas for a pretty long period, apparently Sony finally was like, okay, you know what, fine, let's just do it and we'll see how it goes. And it's a gamble apparently they took, and it's one that's paying off right now, because it's bringing new people into the PlayStation ecosystem.
Hmm. Wait,
So
which game was the first one that actually got a release again?
Horizon Zero Dawn,
All right, so they started with Horizon,
and then they did Days Gone,
then they did Days Gone, then they did
God of War.
um no Death Stranding.
Yeah, but Death Stranding was already announced as a PC PlayStation game from the beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when it was first announced, it was already PS4 PC. It's just that the PC version came out a couple of
Ah,
months later.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure you don't mean a couple of years later?
No, I think the PC version for Death Stranding came out in 2020, because it had like a collab with Cyberpunk. It had like
Oh wow,
Cyberpunk stuff in it, like Cyberpunk themed gear, stuff like that.
wow. That feels like like an age ago.
Well, the funny thing is in that the director's cut, there's missions you get from a certain V, and you need to do side quests for that person, and then when you do it, you get Death Strand, Cyberpunk gear, so you can get like Johnny Silverhand's arm. My Sam Bridges
Hmm.
had that, for example, and it's not just cosmetic; it's also functional. So it would allow you
Oh,
to climb better or something like that. So yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Hmm. I still haven't gotten the director's cut update. I might have to do that somewhere down the line. It's not like expensive anyway,
it's
so
$10. Yeah,
exactly. It's just I don't know, man. That ending still kind of haunts me.
you're not the only one. Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, at least that I mean, at least it's nice to see that Sony is branching out in this way because Microsoft has been doing that for a really long time with, like Game Pass and stuff.
Yeah,
And I feel like the rumors around like Project Spartacus is still like it's still hovering around,
I
but we know that
think.
Sony's up to something.
Yeah, I think like I don't know if Sony's going to participate. I think Sony's going to do their own event again this year, because I think that they like it because it controls the narrative and it allows them to grab all the spotlight instead of sharing it during like a E3 or the Gamescom week. So maybe in the summer they'll do another PlayStation showcase that will last 2 hours, and then I think like that's the perfect place to announce this new Game Pass competitor. They just need to make sure that it's compelling and it offers value, because I don't think at this point people are waiting for PS3 games, PS2 games, and PS1 games. I mean, we already have
I
that.
am.
Yeah, okay, but like, do you have a PlayStation Now subscription?
No, I don't.
Because that's basically what that is right now. So it's like,
Yeah, but that's because I'd have to pay like an extra like what, $7 a month.
yeah, but I think this PlayStation, this Game Pass competitor is like an extra tier on top of the PlayStation Plus you already have.
I mean, if they do like, okay, so I know that it's really unpopular, but if they do what Nintendo did in terms of like, oh, it's like something that you add to the subscription service
Yeah.
and it's an annual thing that you can get, that's fine. Like, I love Game Pass, but the only reason why Game Pass has value to me, or why the value to me speaks to me, is because at least if you have an Xbox, you don't have to pay for live anymore if you get Game Pass Ultimate,
Hmm.
because that's included in it. If you
Hmm.
just get regular Game Pass, you still have to pay for live. which is stupid.
It doesn't make
Just
sense.
the yeah, exactly. Like just get the extra, just pay the extra couple of bucks a month and just do that instead. Also, if you're if you're like a very good, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're a very good deals hunter, you could probably find a really good deal on Game Pass Ultimate, and get it for cheap, and just like stockpile it and just redeem them all, because they auto roll over to like the next one that you redeem, so it stacks. It's like it's a stacking subscription thing.
Yeah,
But
a
that's
friend of
really
mine did
cool.
that.
Exactly. I know, like, there are a bunch of people that I know that did that, that paid like 90 plus euros, and they have like Game Pass for like 3 years.
Yeah. Yes.
If you have like an Xbox Series S, even, that's like a hell of a deal.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's the yeah the question is they are they going to offer something compelling? If they say like we're gonna offer you a service that includes PS5 games and it's gonna be day and date, that offers tremendous value. But now the rumors are they're gonna put in PS5 games, but it's not gonna be day and date. So you might get like the games from the last few months, and then in the future they'll add the newer games. I'm like, yeah, but people are not waiting for that. People want just the good stuff from the first day it comes out. They don't want to wait over.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, at least when it comes to like, you know what? I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see when they announce this stuff, right? Um, and like you said, they're probably gonna do their own thing because they've been doing their own thing for quite some time, including doing a new state of play,
Yeah, it got
which comes
announced.
out day and date with this episode.
Yeah, yeah, it got announced today, so that's on Monday, and they're doing a 30-minute state of play exclusively around Gran Turismo 7, which is of course coming up in March. So,
Hmm,
yeah, I think that game deserves a little bit more attention than it did in the last few months.
yes.
I did notice that the game is picking up more on the marketing. I'm seeing more and more videos coming out for it. I'm just not a huge Gran Turismo fan, so it's not like I'm checking it out. But I've
Yeah,
seen
neither
more
am I.
stuff pop up in my YouTube feed. So,
Hmm, that's funny. It hasn't on my end. But then again, I'm not a very big sim racing guy. I'm also not into like Forza Motorsport.
mm.
Although, like, the only thing that kind of really intrigues me about Forza is that they've done some really interesting collabs, like the Hot Wheels one and the Legos one.
And the Fast and the Furious
Um,
one.
yeah, I guess if that's your thing. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate Fast and the Furious. It's just
Yeah,
it's Fast and the Furious.
yeah. They're 9 movies in.
Yeah,
They missed the part on ending on a high a couple of movies ago.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
Oh well, it is what it is.
yeah.
What? Wow, I feel like we keep saying that a lot.
I guess.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, I mean, it's a half hour.
Yes.
I don't know what to expect, other than that they're gonna show a lot of car beauty. Um, it's gonna look it's gonna look pretty. It's
Yeah.
gonna look realistic. But you know what? And I've said this like many times before, maybe not on the podcast, but many times before. Like, racing games, especially sim racing games, are the easiest way to showcase like how impressive new tech looks, like new graphical tech is,
Hmm.
because at this point, how much more realistic is a racing game gonna look before people say like this is the uncanny valley? Because there's a lot of like even like past Gran Turismo games and past Forza games. I look at that stuff. If you look at it from from a distance, from a decent distance, you would not think that that was rendered in 3D.
I've had with starting with Gran Turismo 5 on the PS3. I had these moments where I thought it like came really close to looking photorealistic.
Yeah, and especially like the F1 games. I mean, you play them a lot, so
Hmm.
for you, it's probably you're probably like, oh yeah, this is just like, this is natural to me. This is like
Yeah,
this is like normal. Like, yeah, it looks realistic. Yeah,
yeah,
that's about right.
yeah.
Actually, speaking of which, like the last F1 game,
Hmm.
have they put out like a native next gen version, or is that like a cross gen thing?
So it came out when it came out. It was automatically available on all platforms, so PS5, PS4, Xbox
Okay, so
One.
it's still a cross gen game.
Yes,
Hmm.
yeah. I think you're going to start seeing uh in the next year maybe, because I know that there are rumors floating around that there's work on a Warzone 2, and that will be
Mhm.
exclusively for next gen consoles, not previous gen, or so it won't only be on PS5 and Series X and stuff like that, not on the PS4 anymore.
Yeah,
So
they use their own internal engine, don't they?
they do. It's
Mm-hmm.
I think it runs off the Modern Warfare engine.
All right,
Yeah.
that's gonna be interesting to see because, like, if you look at stuff made in like Unreal Engine 5, it looks pretty impressive.
It looks scary impressive, scarily pretty, because it just blends that reality thing. I mean, I still haven't tried the Matrix thing, but I've seen videos. I'm like, oh, this looks a bit too
A
real.
bit too, yeah. It's that uncanny valley
Yeah,
effect.
because we're not used to it. I mean, like, um, what is like the prettiest game on PS4? I think it's like something like Uncharted or The Last of
Mm,
Us, and even there, it doesn't look like photorealistic. It looks really nice, but you can
yeah,
still tell it's a game when you see it.
yeah, because the humans are stylized.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's gonna be super weird because, like, for example, no, I wanted to say Forspoken was Unreal Engine 5, but Forspoken is using Square Enix's proprietary Luminous engine.
Mm.
So basically, the same engine that they like an evolved version of the engine that they used for um Final Fantasy 15.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it's just a matter of time. We'll see on Wednesday
Yeah.
how pretty it is and how much detail they put into it.
Well,
Because
apparently
the for
it takes 6 months to model a car.
yeah, I think they spend a lot of years modeling a bunch of cars.
Yeah. But the
So
annoying part is, and I don't know if they still intend to do it or still do it in Gran Turismo Sport, for example, is that they have like multiple levels of cars. So they have like premium cars, which is like a small selection of cars they have in the game, which are the prettiest cars. They have like all the details in there. And then they have less premium cars, which still look really nice, but sometimes they're just models ported over from older Gran Turismo games. Because I think it was in one of the Gran Turismo games, they said like we have over 600 cars, but not all 600 cars you could see the dashboard or the steering wheel, like the cockpit view. You could only
yeah.
look from the bonnet, so from the hood. So because then they were like, oh yeah, but these models are ported over Gran Turismo 4, and those are not really as detailed as I think that was on the PS3 back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah. I remember that. I
yeah,
remember that. That was
yeah,
so funny. It's like, wow, you're boasting about something that is like nothing to boast over.
yeah. But I like think from what I heard, this Gran Turismo is a bit like old school Gran Turismo, because in sport you couldn't really tune out your car, so you couldn't replace parts and tune it, from what I understood. And this one is
Mm.
going to be like the old school one, where you could upgrade the engine and tune and fine tune the whole car.
Was Sport supposed to be a competitor for like Forza Horizons?
Not that I know of, because it was still a racing sim, whereas Forza Horizon is more like a Need for Speed kind of game, far more
Mm.
arcadey.
Yeah. Well, seeing as Need for Speed is well and dead now,
I think they're still
what's
working
the
on a new
use?
game, but um,
Oh no, it's yeah. I mean, they might be working on a new game, but like the IP is well and dead.
yeah, yeah. They made like a remake of remaster of Hot Pursuit, I think 2 years ago. But like the first
Yeah,
thing
it
that
was
I
a remake, so like it wasn't the same game, but it was in the same spirit
yeah, like I
of
would have
Hot
said,
Pursuit.
go for an underground remake. They should have made underground, because that would have played into the nostalgic feeling of everybody, and that would have sold like hot cakes or
Yeah, we
what.
keep saying that. I think part of it is I don't think EA Tracks exists anymore as an entity.
I don't know.
because that like part of the whole underground thing, part of the whole like EA, wasn't it part of EA's like underground? Was that EA Sports Big?
No, I don't think so. It was just
Was that regular
yeah, it
EA
was regular EA.
games?
Yeah,
Because like the whole thing with like the whole EA tracks was they got all licensed music and stuff.
yeah.
So I don't know if that department in EA still exists for them to do that.
I don't know.
Because they'd have to relicense all the songs, and I'm pretty sure they'd license new songs. Because that's what they did with Tony Hawk,
Mm,
Pro Skater 1 and 2. They didn't get all the tracks. They got like the iconic tracks, and they added a bunch of new tracks.
okay.
Which honestly, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell because the soundtrack in the remix is really good.
Nice.
Yeah, I really love it. Like even like some of the new tracks, like one of my favorite new tracks they added to that one is called "Shutdown" by Skepta, and it's like a really good song.
Hmm,
Like it's a really good rap.
nice.
Yeah, and they still have the classics in there, like Superman, and it is fun. But yeah, I would be curious. Like I think we've been talking about it for a really long time. Like um they really should do Underground again because
Yeah,
Underground was really fun.
yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
they did Underground 1 and 2, and then they did Most Wanted, and I liked Most Wanted. It was a launch game for the Xbox 360. I feel like after Most Wanted, it went downhill.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and they had like one or two good ones in the whole batch they released, because eventually they also made like a bit of a sim, kind of like a sim racer kind of one. I think that one was
Mhm.
done by Ghost Games, but like if they released like for example 10 games, maybe 2 were good and 8 were bad.
Yeah. What was the one with the cop where you like played with, like a police officer and
I
had
don't
like
even
this
know.
whole.
But that was with the quick time events where you got out of the car. It was horrible.
Oh, that was so bad.
Yeah.
That was so bad. Oh man. Well, before we get to the really big news, I want to talk about one more thing. As you could tell, from behind me, Pokemon Legends Arceus finally released, and
Yay.
I'll definitely be talking about my opinions in what we've been playing. So if you want to hear about that, stick around for that. Um, it's gonna be. I think if you're not convinced about getting it yet, unless you're a super big Pokemon fan. Um, which, by the way, I am a Pokemon fan. I do not consider myself a big fat Pokemon fan. So, like,
Okay.
like I'll get more into detail in what we've been playing. But I wanted to talk about the reception of Pokemon Legends Arceus because it's been kind of, what's the best word to use? Divisive.
Mixed.
Because on the one hand, it's mixed. On the one hand, like reviewers really love like the change in the gameplay and the mechanics and whatnot. On the other hand, everybody, and I do mean even the positive reviews, everybody rags on the graphics.
Yeah, but I think that is just a matter, because I was talking to someone else about it. I think like that's just simply the case that it's they're hitting into the limitations of the Switch from a hardware point of view, because like it's not fully open world. And then somebody said, "Yeah, but Breath of the Wild is full open world and it looks beautiful." I said, "Yeah, but Breath of the
Yeah,
Wild,
but there are two different games.
that plus for me the world of Breath of the Wild doesn't live as, it's not as lively as what you would expect from a Pokemon game, because there are like parts in Breath of the Wild from what I've played which are like open vast fields or plains, but there's like a tree here and a tree there, but there's not like it's filled with people, and with a
To be fair,
Pokemon.
it is post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, but like the idea, what I would say is, what I said is like, okay, but in a Pokemon game, I expect the world to be more alive because these Pokemons are in the wild. So you need to have more of them to convey the idea that the world is alive. And
Mhm.
there, I think we're running into the technical limitations of the Switch. Like, if they did something like this on a PlayStation or on an Xbox, it would be completely different, because everybody would have like praised it for the graphics because the world was so pretty and so alive. Because we would have probably gotten something like Temtem, maybe. It looked like, I think Temtem looks pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, Temtem does look nice, but part of Temtem's appeal is the aesthetics.
Yeah, or like I mean, like they wouldn't have gone with like a Horizon Zero Dawn, but I think we would have gotten something close to that from a graphics point of view if they did something on a PlayStation or on an Xbox.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not. Here's the thing: I'm not disagreeing with like the graphical aspect
Hmm.
of it, and most of them they're blaming like, well, Game Freak and Pokemon has like they makes like a lot of money. How are they not investing in the graphics? And it's like, so the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because very simply, there are a few factors that come into this outside of the fact that it's running on a Switch.
Hmm.
For one, Game Freak is an independent developer. It is not owned by Nintendo.
Okay.
So everything they do, they have to do on their own. Yes, Nintendo publishes the games, and the Pokemon Company foots the bill for promotional stuff. But outside of that, Game Freak has to do everything by themselves. Breath of the Wild, they had like Nintendo had like access to Monolith Soft, which are the people that did um Xenoblade, the Xenoblade Chronicles games, and they just finished doing Xenoblade X at that time, which was this like really big open world game, which like with massive zones, with beautiful vegetation, with like free travel on foot, and in a gosh darn mech, for crying out loud. You could just fly everywhere, and everywhere was accessible with like almost like zero to no loading areas, which is ridiculous on the Wii U, for crying out loud. So yeah, they were able to tap that because Monolith is owned by Nintendo. So they were more than happy. Well, I don't know if they were happy, but they were more willing and able to help like the Zelda team to achieve their goal.
Hmm.
And I would not be surprised if the Breath of the Wild sequel is also utilizing Monolith once again to help them on at least with making and shaping that world. Like Nintendo has resources, Game Freak does not.
Yeah, but then I would
Also, let's
say, why does Nintendo not share those resources? Because that's what Sony does. Sony has their internal like technology group, which basically has a lot of people from different studios working or sharing their knowledge. And then when you're making a game for PlayStation, or when you're like a second party developer, or maybe even third party, if you ask Sony for help, they're like, "Hey, man, we have this huge database and knowledge base of all these smart ass people that came up with the most craziest of techniques. Here's the stuff you're looking for, or let's see who we can bring you into touch with." Because you see it even with the games blending over, like the climbing mechanics in Horizon Zero Dawn look like something from out of Uncharted,
mhm.
so you're like, I've seen that before. So the teams help each other. So as an advocate of the developers, like, but hey, Nintendo, if you're so big, why aren't you
Here-
helping these guys out?
Here's the thing: Nintendo used to do that back in the N64 days.
That's
No,
20.
like no, I'm not even.
No,
I'm
I
not even
understand, but that's
kidding.
like
Like that's
almost
the thing
20
they
years
did.
ago.
Yeah, but I think what happened is they kind of got burned by that because, for one, the N64 did not sell that well, and
Hmm.
also whatever partnerships they still had left kind of, I don't want to say fizzled, but I think people might have soured on it in terms of like internal, like between like Nintendo and like other parties, especially after Rare got sold, because that was kind of part of it as well. I think they still do something like that, just not to that extent.
Mm.
And with Pokemon, I mean, even like with Pokemon, like if you go back to when the first Pokemon game was going to be released, like Iwata, who at the time was not even working for Nintendo, he was working for HAL Laboratories. He jumped in and basically saved like Pokemon Gold and Silver. He's the reason why we have like two different campaigns in one big game already,
Mm.
as chopped up as he had to do it eventually. But if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't be able to do that. And that was like Nintendo saying like, "Hey, here's this dude that we know from this other company that could probably help you out. He's been doing like work for us as well in the past, and he's done miracles." Like Iwata was like super good like at programming. Um, but I don't know if they still do that. At least not to that extent, which is kind of disappointing. And I agree with you. If they would do something like that, it would be really great because at that point, Game Freak would have the resources needed, or at least have the assistance needed to do it.
Yeah.
The other problem is Game Freak has spent a really long time being a handheld developer, so they're still literally transitioning to HD.
Mm.
So basically, what every other company did like 5, 10 years ago, they're only doing now. Like they have released HD games. Like for example, Tembo the Badass Elephant is a PC as was on PC, and I think it was also on consoles. And Giga Breaker is another one that they did. Like that's like a Game Freak game that is not published by Nintendo. It's on multiple systems, including Switch, and like that's also an HD game, but that's like a 2D. Like both Temple the Badass Elephant and Giga Breaker are both 2D games. Like no polygons needed, right? So that's kind of their wheelhouse. Doing 2D stuff, like they're good at 2D stuff. 3D stuff, I think they got their first taste of it when they did X and Y back in the day on the 3DS, and with Sun and Moon. But if you look at the models there, they're not that high res.
Yeah.
Like they're reasonably high res enough for the 3DS because it scales it down and whatnot. And then the first one they actually did for consoles was Pokemon Let's Go and Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and then they did Sun and Moon. So I think Game Freak is still finding its way, and I think that's one of the reasons why they made Pokemon Legends, because comparatively, Pokemon Legends still kind of in certain aspects looks better than Pokemon Sword and Shield, at least when it comes to like the wild area. Like certain aspects look better, certain aspects don't. Um, but I feel like people are giving Game Freak a bit of a unnecessary hard time because they have way too high expectations from them.
Mm.
I mean, you can't have high expectations for the Switch because the Switch is like seriously old by now. Especially with the Tegra 1 chip, it's like really the fact that like um Dying Light runs natively on Switch is, I don't know, again, what kind of magic some developers pull out of their hat to put games like that on the system is beyond me. But at least you can say like they have the resources to do it. I
Yep.
don't think at this point in time Game Freak has those resources yet, but they are working on it. That's at least how I think that is. So it's fine what you think about the graphics, but it is, I think that's where most people are kind of falling in, and that's where the mixed I think that's where the mixed
Response.
yeah, thank you, responses are coming from, because I don't think like people don't hate the game for the gameplay,
I
at
heard the
least
great
none of
stories about the
like
gameplay.
most of the reviews like the gameplay. There are some that don't. Um, yeah, like I saw a review from like from PC World. I'm like, why in the Sam Hill is PC World reviewing Pokemon?
Yeah. Sounds a
It's
bit
like
weird.
okay, it feels like there's a bunch of steps missing from reviewing Pokemon from and reviewing PC games, but sure. Everybody has the right to review whatever games they want to review, right?
Yeah.
So at least, yeah, I mean, as of right now, which is kind of unfortunate because before, it was the highest rated Pokemon game since Pokemon Sun, but I think some more reviews came in and it brought it down. So it used to be 87, and now it's down to 85 on Metacritic. Pokemon Sun still stands at the top at 87, which really, I don't know. Like, I think again, I'll come to it in what we've been playing, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of disappointing if it's down just because of the graphics. So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, at least I mean, that discourse is not as big as the discourse that came mere what 24 hours before our next episode went live.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you, Microsoft. Jeez, the freaking music. Like first we had to deal with this nonsense from Nintendo, and Sony always does their crap, like with Gran Turismo doing a state of play just as we're going live.
Yep.
And then, like, out of flipping no, like, first of all, did you think that this was going to happen?
No, I did not expect
Like, there
this.
was zero rumblings.
Like the only thing we heard was we're not done yet with acquisitions. But that was like you're expecting
Well,
like them to sweep in and buy Kojima Productions, or I've been saying, hey, they're gonna buy a Japanese publisher or developer because
I
that's
still hope they don't. I'm
uh,
so scared right now. I still hope they don't.
well, clearly with this move, they showed everything is possible. Yeah, so
Mm.
like they don't have a strong foothold in Japan. So like buying a Japanese publisher slash developer could help in that regard. So I was like, yeah, they'll probably buy Square Enix, or they'll buy Konami, or they'll buy, I don't know, whoever. They'll buy Sega. They'll buy someone from Japan, but not like the biggest, or not. Yeah, yeah, just yeah.
I want to let's say the second biggest. Actually, no,
I
they
think
are
they
the
are the
biggest
biggest.
Western
Yeah,
developer.
yeah,
Yeah, crap, they are.
yeah.
Which is kind of crazy if you really think about it,
Yep,
because the only okay, so obviously we're talking about the whole Activision Blizzard King Microsoft purchase,
yep.
um, and that is really big because there's a lot of what's the best way to say? There's a lot of tentacles in that story.
Yeah.
Like a lot of branching paths to where we are today. And it is not even over yet because the purchase won't be completed until
Next year, mid next year.
mid next year, 2023, like
Yep,
June, July 2023,
yep.
which is really crazy to think about
Yeah.
cuz it's a lot that they bought.
They
And
have the
for
most profitable franchise in gaming under their belt now. Call of Duty.
oh, I thought you were going to say Candy Crush.
No, I don't know, but I know
I'm
Call of
pretty sure
Duty is
Candy Crush make no joke. I'm pretty sure Candy Crush makes them way more money than Call of Duty does. It's just that we are not aware of it because we
probably.
don't play Candy Crush.
Yeah, probably.
And that's one of the reasons why they bought them is because of King. The other reason why they bought them is because, well, do we even have to get into the whole Activision Blizzard sexual harassment stuff again? Because I mean, at this point, everybody knows at least that that the culture at Activision Blizzard is probably the most toxic thing in all
Yeah.
of the gaming industry.
Yeah,
Um,
the annoying part, or like the bad part of this deal, is that Bobby Kotick will get a graceful exit from the company next year. He will get $293 million as like
oh, he's gonna get a more. Like, he's gonna get a lot more than
yeah, but
that.
like he's gonna get that to piss off, and then he still has his stock in Activision, which probably made him gazillions because he's a shareholder, and Microsoft offered a crazy deal, of course, so on buying them. So like he's probably a billionaire by now.
Well, let me put it this way: from what I've seen in the reportings, he stands to gain almost like $6.5 million by the end of the day.
Yeah, million or billion?
Million.
650.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, because I thought you said six and a half. I'm like, that's not a lot, but 650. Yeah,
Yes, yeah, 650.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not happy with that. And you know what my stance on Bobby Kotick. Like I told like the day they purchased well, they announced that they're going to be acquiring Activision Blizzard. Remember what I said? Like what Phil Spencer should do to Bobby Kotick?
Yep.
I'm not gonna repeat it here because that would probably be liable for slander or something. It had something to do with the way he should fire Bobby Kotick. And the problem right now is that because the deal is not set yet, they can't do anything. So he's still the CEO,
Yep. Until the
and that
merger is complete.
until the merger is complete and then Phil takes over. But it's not like they're gonna keep him around. Like
No, they've
first of
already
all,
said
like
it
they're
that
gonna.
he's gone the moment the takeover is done.
Well, they didn't say it officially, but That's
Well,
pretty much the
well, I
general
think
consensus.
they hinted at as in June he's gone next year.
No, they hint again, not officially. Like they
Uh,
hinted at it. But yeah, again, he stands to make a lot of money out of this, and I'm not happy about that because that dude did not deserve that any of that, and people are still suffering for it, and people are getting laid off because that's what acquisitions do, which sucks.
yep.
But at least there is a spark of hope that whatever Activision Blizzard turns into once it's been fully acquired will be a better place to work.
I
That is the only good thing that I can look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that because Microsoft basically becomes the biggest first party developer in the world now because of this merger or takeover. It took them a while to get here, but like I can
Hmm.
imagine them just pumping out new IP and existing IP after one another. Because that's kind of the thing with Activision is that they eventually got to the point where they were just doing Call of Duty. Because I
Well, they
cannot,
are. Blizzard is working on a new IP.
yeah, but like the Activision part of the company just came to the point where they were just doing Call of Duty every year. Because I cannot think of
Hmm.
any other IP they did or like brand new IP
No,
they
they,
did.
they did stuff. Well, they didn't do new IP. They gave Spyro and Crash a shot, and when that didn't sell as much as they would have liked, they were like, "Okay,
Yeah,
well, I guess we're not doing that again."
yeah, and then, like Blizzard, of course, does their thing, and they of course announced a new game last week, which has no title. It looks cool, but it feels like a diversion.
They're hiring,
Yeah, but it feels like
which
something
makes
that they're
sense.
doing to um, kind of like take the attention or the heat away. So
Well, they're doing everything in their power to do that. But the real interesting thing, actually, is when the talk started. Like you would imagine that stuff like that took months, maybe years, right?
yeah, so like it happened last year, I think, somewhere over the
It
Christmas.
happened in November.
Yeah, it happened over Christmas.
So apparently, like Bobby Kotick was shopping around Activision Blizzard because, well, outside of the fact that all that stuff came out about Activision Blizzard, apparently, financially, financially, Activision Blizzard wasn't doing as hot.
I cannot believe that. I simply do not believe that.
Well, apparently it's true, but just because they're not doing hot doesn't mean that Bobby Kotick wasn't making money.
Yeah,
There's the big difference.
yeah.
So apparently that's why he was shopping it around, and like the Activision Blizzard game has become quite toxic, and he needed to make a quick turnaround for him and his buddies. So his idea was, and of course for the shareholders, it was like, well, the best thing I could do is sell the whole company and make a lot of money and then get myself a big fat golden parachute,
Maybe
this
that's the
sleaze
reason
bag.
why the board didn't kick him out because he kind of kept them happy with I'm going to sell the company, which is going to make you even more
Yeah.
money. If you kick me out, then you're in deeper shit than with me. So I'm the lesser of two evils.
Oh no, he's still way, 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 way evil. He's not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lesser
but
of
like that's
anything.
probably the pitch he gave the shareholders. Like I'm the lesser
Yeah.
of two evils, even though the
Oh yeah,
media hates me and
definitely.
wants to kill or burn me or something. But I'm the lesser of two evils, and the shareholders
Yeah.
probably like, yeah, that is true.
I flipping hate shareholders.
Yeah,
At least when it comes to like like gaming companies, man. Sheesh. Well, actually, yeah,
I think
yeah. I
if this
mean,
had happened at a tech company, he would have been kicked out a long time ago.
oh, yeah. You can't save your hide by trying to sell or merger or whatever
Yeah.
at tech companies unless you're a startup.
You
So
know, but like I mean, like if th- if he was if this was a tech company, he would have been
yeah.
kicked out by the board last year already when the
Oh
scandal
yeah, yeah,
started.
yeah,
Then he would have resigned, and then they would have given us the standard PR bullshit. I've done some bad things in my life, and I want to take this time to focus on the things in my life that matter, like my family, the blah de blah de blah. You
yeah,
know, the standard PR response.
yeah.
Because that's what, for example,
Uh,
happened at Ubisoft when the creative director of Assassin's Creed quit because he's like, "Yeah, I want to focus
yeah.
on my family." I'm like, you're that's
Mm.
not gonna save your ass.
Oh man, that was so funny. And then it came out what he did. It's like, oh, that's why you left. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
well, you're a scumbag. Bye. Nobody will miss you.
yeah. Even though he made really great Assassin's Creed games.
That's kind of the ironic part, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, at this point, there's a lot to think about because for like the longest time, Activision Blizzard, like you said, hasn't done a lot outside of like Call of Duty. I mean, World of Warcraft is not the biggest MMORPG that is now Final Fantasy 14.
yep,
Um, so big, in fact, that Final Fantasy 14 had to stop sales for like a month and a half so they could shore up their servers.
yeah. It's
And
crazy.
they literally stopped selling Final Fantasy 14 and stopped all advertisement of Final Fantasy 14 because why advertise something you can't sell?
Yeah,
By the way, the Final Fantasy 14 ads are back, which means that it's on sale again,
yeah.
which is super great. That is like the weirdest. I don't think even in like even peak Blizzard never had something like
No,
this happen to them.
it's a very
And the
luxurious
community was
position.
cool about it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, most definitely.
yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah, but I think that if you look at the appeal for Activision Blizzard, I would almost say it's just the name or the past or the reputation, as in
Oh, they got a lot of IPs with it.
yeah, but like no, but like I mean, if you think if the without the takeover, if you think about Activision Blizzard, you're like it's just reputation because they brought out amazing games in the past, like
Mhm.
Diablo and Overwatch and a Call of Duty and Prototype and Gun and whatever they brought out. It's like stuff they're using up credit for stuff they earned years ago. But it's not like they did anything new in this past generation. I mean, the whole Destiny's thing was a debacle in the end, and Bungie just went their own way and started to self-publish Destiny because they had the whole lawsuit. As eventually, when they started selling the even before Destiny came out, they had the whole lawsuit, and then half of
Yeah.
the game was already out on the street or the details were out there. So I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they make great Call of Duty games once in a while, but that's it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for them. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It's just it's I think the most the like the don't want to say the funny part, but the weird part of it all is like the IP like Spyro and Crash now being owned by Microsoft,
Yeah,
despite the fact that like Sony should have outright bought those IPs years ago
yeah,
and then
definitely.
added to their rosters.
Yep,
But they didn't because for reasons beyond me. And now it's too late.
yep, yeah.
Now
The
the only thing they have is Sly and Ratchet and Clank. And even Sly is like to a lesser extent because they haven't released a new Sly game in years.
yeah, I know. And who knows what the Sucker Punch will do next?
I don't think they're gonna go back to Sly because they let that go. They moved on.
Yeah, I mean, like the good part is that at least three Call of Duty titles will be coming to PlayStation, and Phil Spencer has said that they intend to honor all previous agreements. So like
Until
the
they expire.
yeah, until they expire. So that's probably like the DLC coming earlier to PlayStation, and that probably includes those 3 years of Call of Duty. But I
That's
mean,
gonna be so weird.
yeah, but I cannot imagine Phil Spencer's thinking like, "Oh, we'll just take Call of Duty away from PlayStation." Because with Minecraft, they didn't do it as well. So
No.
the thing I see happening is either they say like, "We'll let Warzone be multi-platform, and then we'll just keep Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, so people have a reason to buy Xbox or play on
Mhm.
our platform," or they'll be like, "You know what? We don't even care. Just have it come out on PlayStation because we still make money off of it at the end of the day, and we make a lot of money off of it at the end of the day."
That is actually a very good point. But who knows? I mean, they could just say, suck it and buy Xbox, buy Game Pass, or no more Call of Duty for you. I mean,
Yeah,
they could do that if they wanted to. They can. I mean, they have
yeah,
they're like the thing that shocked me the most was the amount that they purchased Activision Blizzard for, like $68.7 billion,
yep,
which is hilarious because when they bought Zenimax, that was like what 8.7 billion,
Something
and
like that.
people are like, "That is crazy. They will never do something that big again."
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh ho 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 ho, my sweet child, we're not done yet. Not even by a long shot. Not even close."
Yep. And then the most annoying part is that people are like, because that's apparently what happened on what always happens on the internet. I'm not on Twitter, so I miss out on that. Thank God. People are like,
Mm.
Sony needs to get their act together. Sony needs to go out and
Yeah,
buy stuff. Sony needs to counteract. And the way Sony counteracted the announcement was the best way they could. They just dropped the Horizon Forbidden West story trailer, and everybody went nuts over it. I mean, that's
I
the
still
best
need to
way to
see
do
that
it.
trailer.
It's a nice trailer. I mean, like they did that, and then they dropped another meet behind the scenes video a couple of days later, and then last week the previews for Forbidden West went online, and people are raving about it. So like they didn't have to go out and spend billions to make an impression. They just did what they had,
Yeah,
and like even then. Sony doesn't have the money to go outright and buy because everybody was like, Sony needs to buy EA. And I'm like, well, first
they
off,
don't have the money for that.
they don't have the money for that. And if they do have the money for some reason, they should not buy EA. They should buy Ubisoft or they should go out and buy another Japanese publisher. But they should definitely not go out and buy EA. But also it's not their move. They said
Yeah,
we're not doing random acquisitions. Our acquisitions are really strategic. Our acquisitions are deliberate, and we don't care if you're big or small. If you fit in the family, we will buy you if it makes sense.
exactly. Which is why the play but that's also one of the reasons why the PlayStation Studios brand is actually really good. Like it's surprisingly strong. Um I think at least right now, because if you look at Microsoft's acquisitions, like everything that they own right now, right? Between all the individual studios that they bought, between the ZeniMax stuff and now with the Activision stuff, it feels a slight bit random.
It is.
But at least with the Activision purchase, I could say, yeah, even if it was something that was essentially handed to them on a silver platter, it makes sense because they still don't have a lot of family friendly IPs, which Candy Crush and to a certain extent Crash and Spyro adds to the
Hmm.
mix. They have Toys for Bob now, which are really good with with those kind of games, and they tried to bring Spyro and Crash back, but when that failed in Activision's eyes or in Bobby Kotick's stupid eyes, um, he they were roped back into doing stuff for Call of Duty,
Yeah.
which is like, why is like your solution send they didn't work out, oh, let them do Call of Duty stuff? Like what is the point of that?
Yep. Yeah. The part I like about PlayStation Studios is that it it seems, or maybe that's the idea, is that the studios complement each other. So it's not like, oh, let's
Yeah,
buy a studio that makes shooters because we don't have a studio that makes a shooter, and then they go out and buy it. No, they're like they just look at that like, okay, what's our audience and what kind of games do we generally make, and what would be like a fitting acquisition or like a complementary acquisition for this studio, because they have that. I still forget their name. Is it Deviant Studios or Deviant Games? The one that
mhm,
announced themselves last year, and then they had this
yeah,
sales pitch during their their announcement, and they were like, "We're gonna make super innovative games." Like everybody says,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
gonna make
yeah,
super
yeah.
innovative games. So that's like, yeah, but we're gonna
Yeah,
do.
the one that was it like helmed by former?
It's former Call of Duty staff, and like they
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah,
multiple people, but there are people from Call of Duty in there, and then
yeah. The higher ups are former Call of Duty.
yeah, so like with that studio, I'm like, if it's actually the good people, they might actually be able to become like a new Respawn, because Respawn pulled it off, because they split from
We didn't
Infinity
even
Ward.
talk about Respawn's news.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, we'll mention that in a bit.
Oh, yeah, do you want to finish your thought or?
Yeah, so like they have the potential for this company to be the new Respawn if the people they actually hired or are in that studio are actually good, instead of just saying fancy generic stuff like we're gonna be super innovative. But and the
That
same,
was so fun.
yeah, and the same goes for Haven Studios, Jade Raymond's new
Hmm.
studio. Like that
Yeah,
could be the next Assassin's Creed studio, because they did some good stuff over at Motive, like Star Wars Battlefront 2. People might hate it, but that's still a good game. Like, if they're thinking in that direction, they have a lot of cool stuff they can lean on to, because Sony's doing a lot of open world, and they could just have a shooter and a new open world IP there up with it. And
Hmm.
probably they don't even want to compete with Call of Duty or Halo, but inadvertently you will. And then if it works, why not?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, and like I was saying, like um, the why am I flaking on their name right now? You just said it.
Deviant Games.
No, not Deviant.
Oh, Haven.
No, not Haven.
Ooh.
We just talked about they're gonna do three new Star
Oh,
Wars
Respawn.
games. Respawn, thank you. Respawn is doing three more Star Wars games, and one
Yes.
of them is Jedi Forgotten Order,
Fallen Order 2.
Fallen Order. Sorry, why did I say Forgotten
I
Order?
don't
I
know.
don't know. I'm weird today.
Yeah. So
I'm
that
I'm I'm kind of I'm
yeah.
kind of hyped today.
Yeah, they're doing Jedi Fallen Order 2. They're doing a first-person shooter in an in like another universe, so it's not Battlefront. And they're also doing a strategy
Yeah,
game,
that one is weird,
which is hinted at being like a sequel to Empire at War, which was a really great strategy game.
but it is helmed by former Firaxis developers.
Yep. So it could be like a
So
turn-based
it
civilization
could be
type
like
of game.
it could be an XCOM kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But still,
not the Civilization guys, but the XCOM guys.
is Firaxis not also the guys that did Civilization?
Yeah, but the ones that they hired specifically worked on XCOM.
Ah, okay. Well, then we might get something like a Gears Tactics, but then in a Star Wars shell. I don't mind because that's still cool.
Yeah, the first person shooter one is like, why not just have and then I remembered what DICE has been doing lately, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Actually, that might not be a bad idea. But I think, like, as interesting as it is, a lot of people are kind of bitter about it
That what?
because that means still no Titanfall 3.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I think in a way that the success of Apex is showing that there is a market for it. It's just that like I think Respawn is in that position that they're actually they're in a luxury position. Like they have so many great
Mm.
games going for them, and they just don't have the time and the resources to do it all at once. Whereas normally a developer works on something for years and hopes it becomes something good. But now they've churned out some games that are all great games. So they're like in this position like we just want to do more of this, but we're just a limited. We're a small studio, so we can't do all of it. You know.
Yeah, true. It's kind of funny considering the fact that EA is the reason why Disney decided to diversify Star Wars games like publishing
Yep.
and development, and Respawn is the reason why they still are able to make Star Wars games.
Yeah, because I think that the besides maybe Battlefront 2, but that one had like a mixed reception in the beginning. I think out of the whole licensing, Jedi Fallen Order is the only good Star Wars game that came out of it.
I still need to play that, by the
It's
way.
a great game. I finished it last year. You can lend it from me if you want. I have it on disc.
Want to know the really ironic part?
Oh, you also have it, but it's for PS5. Yeah, you want it in a giveaway. Yeah.
I won it in a giveaway, but the reason why I even applied for that giveaway is because if I were to have it, that would be literally my first PlayStation 5 game. I'm still not getting a PlayStation 5. It's just that, like, with the PlayStation Vita, I bought a game in advance that I knew, or not a bought, I tried to get a game in advance that I know that I'm going to like. And once I have the system, that's something to start off with.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great game, and I've said it before when I played it at the time. It feels like Uncharted meets God of War, or like a Dark Souls sauce on it. It's a great game.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people really raving about it, so I'm looking forward to the day that I finally get to play it.
Yeah.
Hopefully before the sequel comes out.
I think you're still a bit off before the sequel comes out.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think with that, we've gone through all the news that we found interesting.
Yeah. Let me just quickly
So,
glance and see if there's not anything breaking we're missing out on.
oh gosh, remember the last time we did something like that and just like something broke, and it's like, oh my goodness, why the heck are you breaking news right now? This is
Uh,
so stupid.
Oh,
Oh,
Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 should get a reveal later this year. Maybe at the
which makes sense since this year is the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII.
that's exactly
My
what
gosh, it's been 25 years. I feel so
yeah,
old.
that's what this is about. And then there are rumors that the Cyberpunk 2077 next gen version is coming out soon because the it's been spotted in some PlayStation 5 database.
Oh,
Yeah, the Blizzard new survival game is played in first person, has been in the works for 4.5 years.
okay.
I'm just reading off some headlines here.
Well,
Um,
the Halo TV series got its first proper trailer.
oh, it came out yesterday. I haven't watched it yet.
I still have to watch it.
Yeah, it looked really. The teaser
I
looked
just
really
saw it right
good.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, and there is one more thing Nintendo related, which kind of really sucks. Apparently Nintendo has been like copyright striking anything that has to do with more specifically like soundtrack channels. Like those YouTube channels that just put out game soundtracks so that
Mm-hmm.
everybody can listen to it
Yeah.
because there's literally no other way to listen to certain game soundtracks.
Yep.
Yeah, Nintendo has been striking those down. Like 1,300 of them.
Oh damn.
Yeah, which kind of sucks because although I understand why they're doing it, at the same time, I'm like, Nintendo, you have so many great IPs with so many great soundtracks. Why on earth do you not have that stuff available to listen? Put it on like Spotify, put it on Apple Music, put it on like Google Music. I don't care. Put it somewhere where people can listen to it like officially and stop being so weird sometimes.
Create your own streaming service and sell it as a supplement to Nintendo Online.
Honestly, I would not even like. Oh, people would really, really be upset about that if they did that.
I
But
know.
honestly, I would not even care.
People would still
I
buy
would
it.
pay for that. Yes, I would legit. Like, I'd be like, I can listen to every soundtrack that Nintendo games have ever put out. Sign me up. I
Yep.
would totally get it because like Nintendo games like have so many good songs, especially recently, especially since like the I want to say like since the Wii U days and like the Wii days and the 3DS days, like the songs have just gotten better. Like Mario games now have are like live music in it. It's crazy and it's all good. The only thing you can find on like any music thing right now is Jump Up Superstar, which is like the main theme from Super Mario Odyssey. That's the only thing that's officially been released by Nintendo on like streaming services, and it makes absolutely no sense. Why is that the only thing available?
I don't know.
Just Nintendo. Like, gosh darn it, why do you do this stuff like this sometimes? Like, it doesn't hurt their bottom line, anyways.
Ah, no.
I don't know. It's stupid. I saw it before we started recording. And I wanted to make it an article, and then I totally forgot about it because then I got reminded about Bobby Kotick, and just that kind of pissed
And
me
your
off.
blood started to boil.
I do not like that person.
Oh,
He
you're.
is
I
not a
know.
very
I know.
pleasant
Well, you've
person.
made that pretty clear over the last five, six episodes.
Yeah, and also I didn't want to. I did not want to talk about any kind of NFT nonsense. So
Those are like I don't like NFTs at all, and I don't want to talk
it
about it.
is. The thing is, it's become. It's like it's happening more and more in the gaming industry, and it's becoming really, really scary. Even Microsoft is like not immune to this.
I think
So,
YouTube is also going to start to allow NFTs. They said that.
all right. So, I'm sorry. That just really made me sad.
It's just
Um,
like it's the latest thing, like microtransactions was. So this feels like the latest thing, and I'm like, please
at
just stay
least
away. Just don't do this because it's just no.
at least with microtransactions, get I can kind of understand it and I can accept it unless the microtransactions are crap. Like if it's cool cosmetic stuff, it's fine, right? If you're doing stupid nickel and diming stuff, progression gating with money, then no. This is next level nonsense, and
Yep.
I will not stand for it.
Yep.
But I think, yeah, I think nothing else is really that
That's
like.
it basically.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Stick around and
All
we'll be
right,
back.
with what we've been playing.
Yeah.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second segment, which is, of course, what we've been playing. So, Sean Templar, what have you been playing?
I've actually been playing a lot lately. So for
Lay it
some
on me.
for some reason I don't know why. So my Switch has been gathering dust since last year Pokemon Unite came out.
Hmm.
So I started to play Stardew Valley. I don't know why, because I had bought it last year, but because there's no tutorial, it just throws you in there. I was like, oh, I don't like this. I want to know how this game works, you know. And then I played with someone else on the PC in co-op, and then they showed me like the ropes, and then I was like, okay. So one evening, I just grabbed my Switch on the couch and I turned on some podcasts in the living room, and I was just playing Stardew Valley. And before I know it, I completely drained the battery of my Switch that evening. So I probably played for hours. And yeah, I got hooked on Stardew Valley, and I gotta say, it's pretty fun. If I just don't know stuff or can't figure it out, I just Google it because there's like loads of wikis, of course. Um, but
There's even a visual guidebook that you can buy,
yeah, I'm trying to find it.
like a really nice one. It's very
Yeah,
pretty.
I want that one, so I'm trying to find it so I can buy it. And yeah, I mean, like it's like a rush when you just sow your crops and you plant stuff, and then you just wait a couple of days, and then you can harvest them, and then you go and sell them off, and you get a gazillion gold coins. It just feels so satisfying. I did make like a calculation error in a season lasts 28 days, and there are specific crops that can only survive in one season. So, like, I had bought a lot of cauliflowers in the summer, but it takes 12 days for them to be harvested. And I
Hmm.
didn't calculate that. So, I planted them at the end of a season without knowing how long a season lasts. So,
And then they all die.
yeah, so from one day to another, we switched seasons and all my crops were dead. And I could just like cry and like, no. And I almost wanted to start over again. I'm like, no, I must persevere. I must go on. So, yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. And I'm actually
You
thinking
know,
about.
you if you wanted a co-op partner, you could have just asked me since I've been asking you for months.
I know. Now, since I've gotten the ropes, I can of it. I know how to play it, so I can ask you, and I would definitely will. I'm also considering, but it feels more like an impulse buy, so that's why I'm holding off on it. But I saw this sweet deal where you can trade in your old Switch and then pay 149 and get a Switch OLED. So I'm considering that because it's like a pretty sweet deal.
It's a pretty
It's
sweet
only
deal.
the white one, and I actually don't want the white one. I want the neon one, but maybe I'll still take the white one. And then so I'm considering that, but I want to play. Like I want to play more on my Switch to be able to justify doing that. And I also
Hmm.
want to play Pokemon Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl or whatever it's called, and Arceus. So, I'm not in a rush to play them. Um,
You can borrow my copy of Diamond Pokemon Diamond because after what I'm going to be talking about, you know why I'm not going to touch that one anytime soon again.
I will take you up on the offer. Yeah, and then I've of course been playing a little bit of Total War Three Kingdoms. The game has of course changed a lot, and I've seen that I've put in over 121 hours already. So I was like, okay, nice. So there's been a lot of updates since I last played it. So I'm trying to get the hang of it again. But it's looking fun. I'm enjoying myself. Slowly making China grow larger again. Um,
Yes, that's what we love to hear.
yeah. And then I've stopped playing Battlefield 2042 because I felt like auto aim wasn't working properly on console, and that was one of the reasons why I kept dying. And then I started to investigate a little bit, and it turns out that auto aim is actually broken. It works sometimes, and it doesn't work sometimes. And Dice released a patch which was supposed to fix it, but then one of the developers on Twitter said, like, "Yeah, actually, the patch didn't do as much. It's really broken, and we're still working on it." And I'm like, how can you release a game on console where auto aim is broken? You just can't do that, you know? At least give me mouse and keyboard support then if it's broken. So we had like a patch last week, it didn't do much, and we're getting a big patch in February. It's going to add scoreboards again because, that's like a basic feature that wasn't in there from the start.
Which
Um,
is kind of funny because they called it like a legacy
yeah,
thing, and it's like
yeah,
that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
yeah. That's definitely not a legacy feature. It's an essential feature. So
No
that
kidding.
yeah, they're probably gonna
Like voice chat.
yeah, that's also something that's going to be added. So they'll probably do a lot of that, and then so I'm just like taking a break, and then last Friday the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection came out, and if you own Uncharted 4 or Lost Legacy or the digital bundle, you can upgrade to the Legacy of Thieves collection for $10, which I did. And I played Uncharted 4 A Thief's End in 60 FPS, which is really nice. It's just so buttery smooth. There's even a full HD 120 FPS mode, but I haven't tried that.
Hmm.
I'm just okay with the 60 FPS. And yeah, I'm to my surprise, I finished it yesterday because I literally started playing it on Friday the whole day. And then I played a little bit of it on Saturday, and then I played a lot of it on Sunday, and I finished it yesterday. I'm like,
Dang.
yeah, I was totally swept up by it again because I love Uncharted. So I was like completely in it, and then now I
Yeah.
need to play the Lost Legacy. So I'm in a bit in doubt if I should play the Lost Legacy and then Horizon Zero Dawn, because I kind of want to play Horizon Zero Dawn again before Forbidden West comes out in 2 weeks, or a little bit over
Hmm.
2 weeks.
You
Uh,
make a good point.
yeah, because I'm gonna do New Game Plus in Horizon Zero Dawn, but um, it's still a big open world game. There's lots to do, and I might actually try to get the platinum this time. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure yet, but I'll see about that. And then yeah, that's basically what I've been playing.
Dang, all right.
Yeah, what have you been playing?
Uh, well, I was thinking of playing Horizon Zero Dawn again, but specifically like the DLC stuff because I haven't finished that yet.
That's cool. Frozen Wilds are really nice.
Frozen, I want to try out. I want to see if I can beat Frozen Wilds before. Well, I don't think I'm gonna get West at launch because I don't know how far I'll be with Pokemon Legends at that point.
You have 18
Um,
days. Make them count.
I don't know, man. Pokemon Legends, man, it's got me good.
You have 18
Got me
days.
really
Make them
good.
count.
It's got me really good. I'm sorry. It's so good. I love it. Oh man, like again, like I agree. Like I said in the news segment, I agree with like the whole graphical things to a certain degree, but I feel like at least with Legends, they tried to hide it a bit with the art style, and it works to a certain degree. But I'm sorry, the grind is just too good. The
Really?
grind is just so much. It's so fun because you know what it is. Like if you've played like classic Pokemon games, right?
I played Pokemon Red and I played Sword or Shield, one of the two.
Well, you can't get more classic than Pokemon Red and Blue. So,
Yeah.
um, so if you look at that structure, right? It's you're a kid, you know, it's your 10th birthday and you're finally getting your first Pokemon. And then you set off into the world, you get a bunch of random Pokemon battles, and then you head to a gym, you do the gym, and then you head off to the next place. And there may or may not be like a evil corporation or an evil team that's trying to destroy the world, or not. If you played Pokemon Sword and Shield, there isn't really an evil team. They're just a bunch of groupies for this one Pokemon trainer, which is like the weirdest thing, but also the coolest thing at the same time. Because I think they kind of realized that the whole evil team trying to take over the world or destroy the world or reshape the world or destroy the universe is kind of played out, which it is like there's only so much you can do with a storyline that like that, and I think they kind of peaked with Pokemon. Um, like with Pokemon Black and White, they kind of peaked with that. I mean, Pokemon X and Y had had an evil team, but even that didn't really do a lot. Like they did try to destroy the whole world, granted, but I don't know. It still felt like the weakest part of the game. Even like Sun and Shield technically also had an evil corporation, but they weren't evil. They were just misguided.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like at that point it doesn't matter anymore. And like like I said, Sword and Shield didn't really have an evil team. They were just a bunch of groupies for a specific Pokemon trainer. Um, and they were basically like soccer hooligans. So this does not have an evil team as far as I can tell. Um, I'm still fairly early in the game, and it's structured completely different. You kind of still have Pokemon trainers in there. There are other people you can battle in the game as part of the story, but it's mostly mission based.
Okay.
So if you look at it, like the game is not fully open world, but the zones are pretty big, which is nice. They kind of remind me of the recent Monster Hunter games where you have a hub village called Jubilife Village, and that's where you go to do like your hub stuff. And then once you're done, you can set out to one of the zones, and you unlock the zones gradually, like in Monster Hunter World or any other Monster Hunter game. And you have missions that you can do. You can get requests from the hub. There are main missions that you complete for the story. Um, the story is actually pretty good. It's really text heavy, this game.
Oh wow.
Like the first 2 hours is like a lot of press A, press A, press A. Because apparently Game Freak has also never heard of auto continue. Because the text does not auto continue. There's also no voice acting, but I think at this point that has more to do with the fact that they don't want to waste precious data on voice acting, that because like the Pokemon take a lot of data. Like they take up a lot of data in the games, which is something that also a lot of people don't realize. Like all the Pokemon have semi unique animations. They have semi unique attacks, but the attacks are interchangeable between Pokemon. Which, by the way, the attacks look like really cool in this game. And the battles, oh my gosh. I'm kind of all over the place, but the battles are so good.
Are you gonna
They're
stream
so
it
much better than
tomorrow?
they used to be. I'm definitely gonna well, no, tomorrow would be Thursday. I don't know. My schedule's kind of like now that the lockdown is over, everything is kind of returning back to normal. So my streaming schedule is unfortunately gonna take a beating. But whenever I get the chance to stream it, I will stream it.
Hmm.
And oh my god, it's just so much fun. I haven't even had a lot of time to play it. I think I'm only 10 hours in. But gosh darn it. Like from like catching Pokemon to battling Pokemon to doing the missions, like the whole grind is just like it's different. Cuz now the way that battles work is it's still turn-based, but now you have an order list. Like if you've played Final Fantasy, I want to say Final Fantasy 10, the battle mechanics should look familiar because now you can switch between two different styles once a Pokemon masters a move, you get to unlock two styles of that move. So you have the agile style, which is not as powerful as the normal attack, but but it can allow you to attack multiple times before the opposing Pokemon does. And then you have strong style, which allows your attack to be more powerful, but it also means you're slower, which means the other Pokemon can attack you twice as much. So it has like this balancing act that you're trying to pull with the battle mechanic. Outside of that, you as a Pokemon trainer, you're not a Pokemon trainer, you're a researcher, um, who at this point the game's out, so it's like minor spoilers for the beginning. So if you haven't played Arceus yet, or you're planning on not playing it, skip the next 15 seconds. The in three, two, one. The main character is a time traveler.
Oh,
Yeah, I did not see that coming because like none of the coverage mentions this fact.
okay.
And that makes it a way more interesting because the game takes place in the past of like the Pokemon Diamond and Pearls region, so Sinnoh, and it back then it was called Hisui, and everything's old, and people are still very afraid of Pokemon. and it's up to your research team that you join, the Galaxy team, to research Pokemon, create the first Pokedex because there's no Pokedex. So you're gathering information. That's what the whole mission structure is about. Once you catch a Pokemon, you don't have all the necessary information about that Pokemon. You have to do certain requirements for each Pokemon. So, like for example, one of the things that you have to do is you have to capture Pokemon multiple times. You have to see a Pokemon use specific moves a bunch of times, or you have to catch a Pokemon in stealth mode, which, by the way, there is stealth in this game where you have to like hide in tall grass and then chuck a Pokeball at the Pokemon in the hopes that it catches them, which is really fun. So you have to like basically solid snake it behind a Pokemon and like hide behind them, make as little noise as possible without getting their attention or waiting them for them to fall asleep. Or you could even throw like a berry and it'll distract them because they'll eat the berry. Then you can sneak behind them and throw a Pokeball. And it's really fun. Like the whole mechanic is really fun. And if you fail, it's not failure. You still have a chance to catch the Pokemon, but at that point you're kind of forced to battle them.
Hmm.
They also might just run away, which is something that they can do. Like some Pokemon, they'll see you. Like the moment they'll see you, they'll just like turn tail and like run. So you have to then chase them to catch them, or they'll run away and then you have to try again later. Um, and then there are Pokemon that once you get them in battle, they immediately run away.
Hmm.
So it gives despite the fact that people are like, oh, like the world does not live, it does not feel like it's lived in, or like there are not a lot of Pokemon in there. The Pokemon themselves have a lot of personality, which is so cool to see. Like a lot of Pokemon have personalities that you expect them to have from like the previous games. It's like, oh yeah, I've read this Pokemon's like Pokedex entry for years, and that's exactly how I would see them respond. Like Starly, which is a bird Pokemon, gets startled by humans. So as soon as it sees a human, it tries to fly away. You have like this little cute Pokemon called Shinx, which is an electric type Pokemon. Yeah, it can use electricity. It does not care for you, and it will shock you. So does Pikachu, by the way, who, as soon as it sees you, it'll try to shock you. And don't try and travel by night, or unless you're brave enough, you can travel by night and try and catch one of the ghost Pokemon who do not care for you. They will teleport you, they will try to make you fall asleep, and they will hurt you. Like you can actually get hurt in this game, and like you can like get knocked out.
Wow.
Yeah. It is like there's so much more to talk about. I don't want to take up a lot of time about over this, but there is so much about this game that is so good to me. And that's the thing that I've been playing only recently. I've played other stuff. It's just that one's the one that really spoke to me. So I had to talk about it, obviously. The other thing that I've been playing is Teamfight Tactics,
I don't know that one.
which is which is a spin-off of League of Legends.
Aha, okay.
Yeah, it's what they call an auto chess game. So the whole point of it is it's kind of like the name suggests, it's kind of like a chess game, but the characters that you put on the board play automatically. They all have their own strengths and weaknesses and attacks. And putting them in certain locations and putting them in certain positions, makes it advantageous for your team against the other person's team. It's always like this red robin style kind of a gameplay. So there are 8 people on the board, and it's always 1v1.
Okay.
So there's always 4 battles going at the same time, and you have to invest in getting like the best, like not the best heroes, but the best composition of heroes that you can put on the board. And then it's kind of like hope that you got the right composition, and then if they win, yay, you move on to the next round. And if you lose health. And once your health is all gone, you're out of the round. And I'm gonna be completely honest. I was not a fan of auto chess games when it first came out. My best friend tried to get me into it because he's into that kind of stuff. He really likes it. He's been playing it for a while now, and I was always like, I don't like it. I tried it a couple of times when when the phenomenon first hit, and like a lot of people were playing it, and I was like, I don't really, I don't care. Like I tried different ones from different developers, and it's not fun. And then like recently, he was like, we have to play, we have to play. I'm like, oh, for Pete's sake, fine, whatever. So I started playing, and again, I was not having fun. And then he made me this cheat sheet for this very specific composition of team, and that helped a lot for me. Like that opened it up for me because now I wasn't just picking random characters and put them on the board and not caring. I was actually trying to get to that composition because you can't build the team that you want to build from the get-go. You have to work your way towards it because you start off with like weak champions, and with each round, and like the better you do and the more money you make during each round, you get the ability to get better champions. And the better champions you get, the higher probability to have of winning. Um, so it scratches a really interesting itch that I didn't even think I had. And now I'm like really into it. I used to only play with him. Now I play it without him. I've actually won a bunch of like not a bunch. I've really won a few games, which is really cool. Like the first time I won a game, I was so excited. I was like, "Yo, dude!" So I was like, "Yo, bro, I'm on the verge of winning. I'm on the verge of winning. Where are you?" It's like he was like at work. It was like, "Oh my goodness!" So I sent him like the victory screen. Like, "Look, I won! I won! It's because of the cheat sheet you made. I won. I'm so happy."
That's
And
nice.
that was like when like that match when I did that on my own, because when I play with him, I always play with him on Discord, so he can always give me hints, and like I keep asking him like, should I do this, like should I do this, and at that point he was not there, so it was just me and the cheat sheet, and
Nice.
I just had to use my own experience and my own wits to get it, and I finally got the dub, and it was like the best thing ever, which is kind of weird because I went from like completely hating the whole thing to like actually really liking it. I might, and this is kind of I haven't told him yet because he said like you should stream this. I think you would enjoy streaming this. So I was like, I'm never gonna stream this game because I do not like this game. And now I'm thinking of this would be fun to stream with other people.
Why not?
Yeah, so the only problem is like a match can take up to like 45 minutes. Like a whole like from start to finish, like if you're doing like everything and like following the winner, it's like 45 minutes.
That's
And
okay.
I stream an average of 2 hours, so that would be like two matches. So I have to figure out if if I'm gonna do TFT, it would be on days that I can stream for longer, so I can actually showcase more matches.
Yeah.
But is that oh yeah, I tried to finish Brilliant Diamond before Pokemon Legends came out, but I only got halfway, and then I was like, you know what? Why am I playing something I'm not enjoying when I know something that I will be enjoying is right around the corner? So I stopped. So again, if you want to borrow Brilliant Diamond, it's all yours.
I'll take you up on the offer.
Oh my goodness, that like playing that, especially looking back at it now, like I already said it back when it first came out. This is the worst remake that they have, the worst Pokemon remake they have ever put out because it is very by the numbers. It is very safe. It is not fun. Like if you like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, more love to you. Like it is not my thing. For me personally, it is not my thing.
That's okay.
And is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I played a little bit of Kerbal Space Program on the stream again, and gosh darn it, I miss playing I do not play enough Kerbal. I really should play more Kerbal. Our mutual friend was there too to support me,
I heard
and
that.
that was
Yeah.
really fun because I was able to. I think I don't know if you were there the last time I played Kerbal, but I tried to make a lunar orbit and then go back to the planet. And then when I tried to go back to the planet, I crash landed on the planet because I warped. This
I
time,
wasn't there.
luckily for us, our mutual friend was there. he reminded me, don't forget to hit F5 to quick save so that if it goes wrong, you can go back. I was like, yo, thank you so much for reminding me. Because I did it again. Well, not the same way. I came in too hot, so the craft blew up like in entry because I
Oh
was
man.
whoa, whoops. I was coming in way too steep. So there was way too much friction and like the whole thing exploded. And I was
Uh,
like, oh, thank goodness for quick save. So I went back, I recalculated everything. I came in at a more um a more horizontal angle and everything went perfectly and I landed and it was so awesome.
he has a platinum for it on the PS4.
I can imagine since he's basically a rocket scientist.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of hands of time in his hands.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
All right.
Cool.
I think with
So
that, we've come to an end of another episode of Game Rivals. Thank
we
you
very much
all
have.
for tuning in, as always. We appreciate your support. You can find us on all your major favorite podcasting platforms: Apple Podcast, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast, we're probably there. You can reach out to us by email, gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. We're also putting this up on YouTube. We'll put the link in the description so you can check us out there. We're on Twitter, game underscore rivals underscore. Maximilian is also on Twitter at Maximilian. You can find us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Maximilian underscore X and slash Sean Templar. We're on Instagram at Maximilian underscore X and at Game Rivals. And that's it, I think.
You sure you don't want to add one more to that?
And it is, I
The
don't,
other one
TikTok?
that we talked about? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're also on
I mean, we
TikTok.
are on there technically.
Yeah,
So.
we're on TikTok. We don't do a lot with it yet, but we're on TikTok. It's at Game Rivals. Yeah,
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 that's it.
that's basically it. And on that note, I have been and always will be Sean Templar,
And I have been and I'll always be Maximilian X.
and we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.